On Sunday, June 1st, 2025 at the corner of Rigsby Avenue and South WW White Road on the east side of San Antonio, Texas, several rounds rang out at 7-Eleven. Investigators said the ambush-styled activity left one man 86th at the scene and one woman hospitalized with non-life-threatening trigger injuries to her leg. Within the 2 a.m. hour, while we're parked about a city block from the Rigsby and South WW White Road intersection, two SAPD cruisers passed us traveling north on South WW White. Less than a minute later, we hear an engine rev followed by tires screeching. After a short pause, several huge trigger blasts from one weapon could be heard. As we could almost feel the compression from those blasts, there were faint rounds being released between blasts that came from a second trigger. Then, we heard what appeared to be a vehicle fleeing the scene. Seconds later, a woman could be heard screaming. The two SAPD cruisers traveling north had come back south towards the scene of a 2:55 a.m. 911 call with sirens blaring. We were on our way to the scene as well. Upon arriving to the scene at 7-Eleven, we pulled into the store parking lot and parked outside of the gas pumps while 20 SAPD cruisers had the location surrounded, even blocking us in, to where they had to move one cruiser to let us drive out. Several officers were scrambling to secure the scene, locate witnesses, flush out spectators, and crime scene tape off the property until the homicide detectives arrived. Witnesses told police that two unidentified suspects in a burgundy SUV followed the victims, who drove a white Chevy Malibu, into the 7-Eleven gas station. The white Malibu parked near the gas pumps when investigators say two people got out of the burgundy SUV, triggered several rounds at the victims in the Malibu, then fled the scene in the SUV. SAPD found one victim on the ground next to his car with multiple trigger wounds. When we arrived, the lifeless victim's body was laying shirtless face down, and his head had been covered by police, for visual reasons. Eventually, police covered the body with yellow tarp. An unidentified female passenger that was in the Malibu was brought out of 7-Eleven on a stretcher and loaded into the ambulance, while a man walking near her was heard saying she got triggered in the foot. She's going to be all right. One acquaintance to the deceased male was expressing how they had just finished talking to him shortly before he was fatally attacked. One witness said, "I knew something was funny the way that car pulled up and turned off the lights." Many phone calls went out to family and friends of the victims from the crime scene as several people made their way to the 7-Eleven. Some were quiet, some pacing, some sobbing, crying, and trying to make sense of it all. Some were even yelling. One individual showed up asking SAPD, "Where is my family member? And why is the person being detained?" Police stated because they were a witness to what happened. After leaving and returning to the 7-Eleven location approximately 2 hours later, an even larger crowd had formed for the deceased, whose body was still present. At that time, homicide detectives were actively assessing the scene and gathering details about the crime. Investigators are saying that this may have been a targeted attack, and possibly related to two other trigger attacks the same night. As of June 10th, 2025, to our knowledge, the suspects have not been apprehended. On Monday, June 2nd, 2025, the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office identified the deceased male victim to be 33-year-old Kiante Nakia Ageous, also known as MC Gotti. Mr. Ageous was an extremely talented barber, cuts by Gotti, in the San Antonio area. We also received word that the woman with him that suffered non-life-threatening trigger injuries was Kiante's wife, 33-year-old LaShondra Ageous. LaShondra stated, "I myself was shot 4 times." Mrs. Ageous had this to say about her husband. "Kiante was a loving husband, father, son, uncle, brother, cousin, and friend. His light shined no matter where he was, and it will continue to shine. Our hearts, prayers, and condolences go out to everyone affected by these events. It is never an easy thing, and we hope to have documented and represented this coverage respectfully."